Morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Elisha G. Matiz, and today I will be presenting on censoring video games. So, a little introduction is games should not have to be censored due to a parent's lack of ability to parent their child properly. A quick overview is I'll be discussing today the history of video game censorship, censorship in the US, censorship globally, the impact of censorship, the responsibility of parents, and the responsibility of game developers. So we have here a quick history of video game censorship. It all started back in 1976 when the first controversial video game, Death Race, was pulled off store shelves. Little background, Death Race was a game in where you would run over as much gremlins as possible within a given time frame. So that caused a little outlash because of the violent nature of it. Then in 1983, a game called Custer's Revenge was protested. That game, a player would run over a woman strapped to a pole. It's another violent video game. Essentially, you're getting revenge. Then in 1993, the games Night Trap and Mortal Kombat was scrutinized by Night Trap was banned and Mortal Kombat was scrutinized by Congress due to them both being very violent. A little fun fact is Mortal Kombat was the first ever video game to feature like real lifelike violence, as in known today. This is what essentially led to the 1994 the creation of the Entertainment Software Rating Board. This is why modern games now have ratings to it because of a decision of Congress back in 1993 to 1994 because of the outlash that these very violent games has produced. Then in 1997, a man by the name of Jack Thompson filed the first ever video game lawsuit because of all the things that were happening in the real world due to them believing it was a video games. There was three kids that were killed in a high school, and the person that killed them played violent video games. So it was believed that that was the reason that those kids were killed. Then in 1999, video game panic reached new heights following the Columbine massacre. In that massacre, two students opened fire in a crowd of people, but those two students they were also playing violent video games, which is why lawsuits began opening against the video game companies because of the belief again that the video games caused the students to act in the manner that they did. Then in 2001, the Surgeon General found little correlation between media and violence, which is one of the things that's disproving that the video games themselves are the things that's causing the violence. Then in 2005, a professor debunked the theory of the link between the games and violence. Another thing. Then in 2006, that same Jack Thompson, he filed some more lawsuits against the video game creators because of more incidents that happened. More people became outlash because of video games, but that's where there were opinions. There were actually no studies that proved that video games were actually causing these violences. Then in 2008, mental health experts disclaim link between games and violence, as I stated previously. And in 2009, the American Academy of Pediatrics Council on Communications and Media alleges violent media present presents a health risk. That's one of the very first actual organizations that actually made such bold claims like that. And then in 2012, there were some more mass shootings that stirred the debate over the games and media violence. That started to add more fuel to the flame, which is why we have that controversy to this day because of many of these incidents that happened in the past. But it's all controversy. There's no actual evidence that prove this to be said truth. In the world, there's also been video game censorship as well. For instance, the Russian government announced a plan to use neural networks to search for banned content in video games released in the country and censor them. That's a way that Russia has been using to trying to control the content that's viewed in their country. In India, they threatened and bullied the PUBG Corporation into removing PUBG from the market, the mobile version from the market, only re-allowing it to be introduced if they made the changes that India wanted them to make. It's the government controlling the media again. That's censorship that's happening around the world. In Pakistan, Call of Duty Black Ops 2 was banned for painting the country in a negative light. That's another form of censorship. It may not be just to protect little children, but they have their own reasons for said censorships. With all these censorships happening, it can have a negative impact to various parties involved. Strict censorship and digital game localization made the Chinese government implement a 15-year ban on foreign or domestic manufactured and sales of game consoles back in 2000. That's see what's happening based on censorship. Just because China wanted something to be censored, so they started banning a lot of their sales from foreign people. Disney executives have grown increasingly unwilling to make films that might upset censors. That's another impact. People become afraid of innovation. And then again, China again, they've been threatening U.S. companies with lost access if they support free speech because they want to have the censorship. It is ultimately the responsibility of the parents to um, to control what their child views. Multiple studies have found that restriction isn't effective in reducing the negative impacts of games. Some found that they were ineffective, but this is why I say that ultimately it's the parents' responsibility in showing their child what is right and what is wrong. And censorship is not the right way to go. The different parenting styles can also be responsible. It can also lead to what should be and shouldn't be censored. If the parents have a more harsh parenting style, they will censor things. If they don't, they won't censor certain things, and they will favor a more better approach that's be more permanent. Developers also bear in their responsibility due to various factors such as copyright infringement, licensing agreements, and new and evolving legal challenges that make them wonder is what they're doing is even ethically right. There's many factors that have to go into their decision, so which is why they also hold a great factor into deciding what these kids can view, but not the ultimate final factor though. To conclude this, no matter what, game censoring will keep happening, but the ultimate responsibility does go to the parents because they are ultimately responsible for the care and upbringing of their children. thank you for watching my presentation.